Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. It found you in divine timing. God led you here because you're standing on the edge of something sacred. For years, you've walked through valleys, cried silent tears, and waited patiently while others seemed to rise and thrive. But the truth is, God has been preparing you for such a time as this. What's coming your way now is not just a blessing, it's a full outpouring. Love, favor, wealth, healing, and peace are flowing towards you right now. The wait is over. Let's break this divine release into 7 powerful chapters so your soul can feel the depth of what heaven is doing in your life. Before we dive deep, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this message isn't just content, it's a divine announcement, a prophetic confirmation that your waiting season is over. If your spirit feels this frequency, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's a sacred code. It signals to the Most High and the heavens that you're aligned, awake, and ready to receive the outpouring that's already been assigned to you. Not everyone will finish this message, only the truly chosen. Those who stay until the end will receive clarity, divine alignment, and the spiritual keys to unlock what's been stored up for such a time as this. This isn't something you just watch once. This is a living word, a divine revelation that will keep unfolding every time your spirit returns to it. Rewatch it as often as your soul leads you, because each time a new truth will rise up and confirm what heaven has already declared. Your wait is over, and your overflow has just begun. Let's begin. Chapter 1. You were hidden for a purpose, not forgotten. There were seasons, long, silent, aching seasons, where you questioned if heaven had gone quiet on you. You were doing your best to stay faithful, to walk in love, to serve, to be kind, to show up. But no matter how much light you gave, it felt like life kept you in the shadows. You watched others get picked, celebrated, elevated. You cheered for them, even as your own soul silently whispered, "But what about me, God?" That question was never a complaint. It came from a deep place, a sacred ache, a yearning to be seen, not just by man, but by God. And let this truth echo louder than any doubt you've ever carried. You were not forgotten. You were not rejected. You were hidden for divine reasons far beyond what you could see. Chosen one, understand this with your whole spirit. Heaven hides what is holy. God doesn't expose what he's still preparing. And you are a vessel that carries glory. That level of sacred weight couldn't be rushed. You weren't ignored. You were being refined, not in punishment, but in purposeful protection. God hid you from the spotlight because premature exposure would have created unnecessary battles. Some platforms would have crushed your soul. Some relationships would have distracted you from destiny. Some successes would have pulled you out of alignment with who you really are. So yes, the doors didn't open because God was the one keeping them shut. What you called isolation was actually insulation. God insulated you from voices that would have confused you, circles that would have changed you, and environments that couldn't hold your light. You weren't supposed to fit in. You were designed to stand apart. You were set apart, not set aside. And in the hidden place, God was working, deeply, silently, faithfully. He was cultivating endurance in you when no one was watching. He was stripping ego, pride, and people-pleasing from your spirit. He was training you to hear his voice alone, not the applause, not the opinions, not the algorithms. He was anchoring you in identity, not image, because what you're about to walk into is weighty. It requires rootedness. It requires maturity. And most importantly, it requires spiritual authority, the kind that only comes from seasons of wilderness and silence. You couldn't have carried this blessing back then. It would have crushed you or changed you. But now, you're ready. Heaven knows it. Hell fears it. And this is the moment when everything starts to shift. You're not coming out of hiding because of social media, strategy, or self-promotion. You're being called forth by the voice of God Himself. This is not self-made. It's heaven orchestrated. You're being revealed, not for show, but for purpose. Not for attention, but for assignment. You will be seen, but only because your light is undeniable. You will be recognized, but only because your spirit carries something this world needs. And you will be elevated, but only because you were willing to stay low when God asked you to. There are people who counted you out because they couldn't see what heaven was doing in the dark. Let them talk. Let them wonder. They'll soon understand. What looked like silence was actually sacred preparation. What looked like delay was heaven's perfect timing. And now, God is saying, "Come forth. The waiting is over. The veil is lifting. The revealing has begun." Chapter 2. Heaven is releasing what's been stored up. Chosen one, you need to understand something powerful. Heaven has a memory. Every tear you cried, every lonely night, every time you chose integrity over instant gratification, every time you gave when you barely had enough for yourself, none of it was wasted. You didn't just survive those seasons, you sowed into them. And what you thought was loss was actually seed. You see, God doesn't forget faithfulness. Even when the world overlooks you, even when people fail to recognize your value, even when no one claps for your quiet obedience, heaven keeps record. Every prayer you whispered in pain, every act of love you extended when you were exhausted, every time you said no to temptation and yes to purity, every moment you stayed kind when you were being mistreated, it was all recorded, it was all counted, it was all stored. And now, heaven is releasing what has been stored up for you. This isn't just about getting what you deserve. It's bigger than justice. This is about divine reward, the kind that only comes after seasons of surrender, the kind that can only be released when your character is strong enough to hold what God is about to place in your hands. And now that you've proven faithful with little, heaven is ready to trust you with more. The floodgates are opening. But this isn't a random breakthrough. This is strategic, supernatural release. You're not just walking into blessings, you're walking into overflow. God is pouring out not just provision, but vision. Not just money, but mission. Not just love, but alignment. Not just open doors, but divine appointments. People will look at you and think it happened overnight, but you'll know this blessing came from years of invisible obedience, from the times you stayed when it would have been easier to leave, from the moments you forgave when you had every reason to be bitter, from your willingness to let go of what was comfortable so you could stay aligned with what was holy. Let this settle deep in your soul. Your name is being mentioned in places your feet haven't stepped yet. Your spirit has gone ahead of you. Heaven is causing the right people to find you, favor you, and bless you, not because you begged, but because you believed. You trusted God when there was no evidence. And now, He's putting evidence everywhere. Wealth is being transferred. Not just financial wealth, but wisdom, generational healing, and spiritual authority. God is restoring what was stolen, repairing what was broken, and revealing what was hidden. You're not being rewarded with just enough. You're being trusted with more than enough. Because God knows you won't just keep it. You'll use it for His glory. The opportunities that are coming won't be forced. They'll feel natural, easy, peaceful. Because they're divinely timed, you won't have to chase, prove, or perform. The blessings will recognize you. They will locate you. Because what's yours, by divine right, can no longer be withheld. This is the season where things start making sense, where delays reveal their purpose, where closed doors start to look like protection, where prayers you forgot you prayed come back to you in physical form. Heaven is not releasing this because you are perfect, but because you stayed positioned, you stayed faithful, you stayed teachable, and now you are ready. Chapter 3. The delay was the setup for divine timing. Chosen one, how many times did you cry out, God, when? How many nights did you wrestle with the silence, wondering why things seemed to move for everyone else except you? You weren't asking for fame. You weren't chasing clout. You just wanted to step into the purpose you knew was inside of you. You could feel it burning in your soul. And yet, the doors stayed closed. The phone didn't ring. The breakthrough didn't come. And in that space of waiting, doubt tried to creep in. But now, you're beginning to see. The delay wasn't denial. It was divine development. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. Because real blessings, the kind that last, that transform, that elevate, can't be rushed. They're crafted in divine time, not human time. God knew the weight of what He was going to give you. He knew it couldn't land on the old version of you, the version of you that still needed validation, the one that would have settled out of loneliness, the one that might have misused the platform or mismanaged the resources. That version would have touched the blessing, but lost it. And God didn't want you to just touch it. He wanted you to carry it, sustain it, build with it, bless others through it. So He took His time, not because He was ignoring you, but because He was investing in you. While you were waiting, you were growing. You were being strengthened in the quiet. You were being matured in the delays. You were being refined in the fire. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick, but it was necessary. That relationship you cried over didn't work out, because you weren't meant to shrink, to fit into someone else's insecurity. That job that ghosted you wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That opportunity that fell through wasn't bad luck. It was God saying, I have something better, but you need to be stronger to carry it. And now you're not the same person. You've been through the crushing, and you didn't fold. You've faced the silence, and you didn't give up. You've endured the waiting. And instead of becoming bitter, you became better. And for that, heaven is rewarding you. This release you're stepping into is no accident. It was already written, but it had an appointed time. And that time is now. God is never early. He's never late. He's precise. He's intentional. He's strategic with your soul. And now that your heart is healed, now that your discernment is sharper, now that you no longer need the applause of others to feel worthy, He's unlocking what's been waiting for you all along. You'll start to notice it, the sudden alignments, the doors that open with ease, the connections that feel divine, the overflow that begins without warning. It may feel like it's happening fast, but remember, this has been years in the making. Heaven was never holding it back from you. It was holding it for you. So breathe, chosen one. Let the frustration go. It had to take this long, because what's coming is too big to be rushed. Chapter 4. What you lost is being restored, sevenfold. Chosen one. Loss has a way of cutting deeper than words can ever describe, and you've lost more than most people know. You lost people who swore they'd never leave. You lost opportunities that looked like your breakthrough. You lost seasons of joy, time you can't get back, energy you spent holding things together that were falling apart. Some losses happened suddenly, others broke you slowly, and in the middle of it, you wondered, God, is this where it ends for me? But here's the holy truth. Nothing you lost went unnoticed by heaven. Not a single tear, not a single betrayal, not a single closed door escaped God's view. And while it looked like it was over, it was only the beginning of a supernatural restoration. What you lost wasn't the end, it was the seed. In the kingdom of God, loss isn't final, it's foundational. Every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment, it all planted something in the soil of your spirit. And now, in this divine moment, those seeds are sprouting. The enemy thought the loss would break you, but God used the loss to build you. And now, the restoration isn't coming back the same way it left, it's coming back multiplied. When the thief is found, he must restore sevenfold. Proverbs 6:31. Everything the enemy tried to steal, your peace, your reputation, your momentum, your joy, God is restoring it with interest. Sevenfold restoration means this isn't just about breaking even. This is about divine payback, spiritual reparations. You're not just going to feel better, you're going to be better. You're not just getting the job back, you're being elevated into purpose. You're not just getting love back, you're stepping into relationships that carry divine alignment and protection. You're not just being healed, you're being made whole, with scars turned into strength and wisdom. That person who left you, that moment you thought broke you, that storm you barely survived, it didn't destroy you, it revealed you. You found out who you really are, what you really carry, and most of all, who your God really is. And here's the divine reversal. You lost what was temporary, but you're gaining what's eternal. The temporary applause, gone. The fake friendships, removed. The surface-level success, stripped away. But what's coming in its place? Peace that lasts, love that heals, wealth with purpose, impact that lives beyond you, and an identity so rooted in God that you'll never question your worth again. Chosen one, your life is about to be proof that restoration is real, that God keeps all his promises, especially the ones made in your tears, that he doesn't just return what was lost, he resurrects it in glory. You thought you were done, but God says, I'm just getting started. Chapter 5. Your name is being lifted by the Spirit. Chosen one, you didn't ask for the spotlight. You didn't scheme, manipulate, or try to promote yourself. You stayed quiet when others were loud. You served faithfully while others sought recognition. You kept your head down, your spirit clean, and your hands pure, and yet something is shifting in the atmosphere. Your name is rising. But this isn't fame. It's not clout. It's not worldly hype or artificial status. This is divine elevation, the kind that only heaven can orchestrate. You didn't chase it, and still, it's coming to find you. You didn't knock down doors, and yet they're opening. Not because of who you pretend to be, but because of who you truly are, when no one's watching. Chosen one, this is what happens when favor finds you. When God begins to move, nothing and no one can stop it. No smear campaign, no hidden jealousy, no demonic assignment can cancel the assignment over your life. They tried to overlook you, downplay you, discredit you. But heaven saw the truth. Heaven saw your obedience in obscurity. Heaven saw you loving when it was easier to hate. Heaven saw you forgiving what others would have tried to avenge. And now, Heaven is lifting you in a way that no man can take credit for. Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and in due time he will exalt you. 1 Peter 5:6. This is your due time, chosen one. And here's the mystery. You didn't have to announce yourself, because heaven already did. There are people speaking your name in rooms you've never entered. There are opportunities circling your life that you didn't even ask for. There are hearts being drawn to your spirit, not because of your resume, but because of your resonance. They feel the weight of God on your life. They sense the purity in your words. They recognize the oil you carry, even if they can't explain it. This is the kind of rise that doesn't need promotion. It needs presence. God's presence. Just like David. He wasn't in the palace. He wasn't dressed for royalty. He wasn't even invited into the room. But the prophet said, "We will not sit down until he comes." Why? Because what's for you can't be skipped. What God ordains, man cannot overlook. David was called out from the field and anointed in front of everyone who underestimated him. And chosen one, you're next. Your rise won't be because of marketing. It will be because of the mantle. Your influence won't come from hype. It will come from holiness. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to explain your calling. You don't have to chase platforms or beg for validation. Just stand still and let God show them who He's been shaping in silence. Chapter 6. You're being blessed to be a blessing. Chosen one, this season of elevation may look like it's about you, but it goes far beyond your personal gain. What God is doing in your life right now is not just a reward, it's a release. A divine strategy is unfolding, and you are the vessel He has chosen to carry out something far greater than your own dreams. Yes, the blessings are real. Yes, the doors are opening. The favor is finding you in rooms you never applied to enter. The resources are showing up before you even know how to ask. But understand this truth. Heaven's supply is not about status. It's about service. You're being positioned to become a conduit of change. The blessings coming to you are meant to flow through you. God isn't just pouring into you to fill your cup. He's anointing you until it overflows. That overflow is not excess. It's assignment. Someone has been waiting in the shadows, crying out in silence, hoping for a sign that God still hears. And guess what? That sign is you. You are the answer to prayers you never heard. You are the breakthrough someone else has been fasting for. Your obedience is the light in someone's darkness. Your survival, your growth, your wisdom. It's all been preparing you to become a divine delivery system for hope, healing, and transformation. You didn't just make it out so you could smile. You made it out so you could reach back in. That's why you carry the authority you do. That's why you've been through what you've been through. Every storm shaped your voice. Every loss sharpened your discernment. Every tear baptized your compassion. You now carry what others need, not because you're better, but because you're willing. Willing to give, even when others withheld. Willing to forgive, when others held on to bitterness. Willing to speak when silence felt safer. Willing to love in a world that told you to shut down. And now, God is raising you up, not to be admired, but to be assigned. He knows He can trust you to pour without pride and give without seeking glory. You see, this kind of blessing isn't random. It's revelatory. It reveals who you are at your core. You're not just successful, you're sent. You're not just winning, you're walking out a word. God's using you as a testimony in motion, a living, breathing answer that others can point to and say, if God did it for them, He can do it for me. This is legacy in real time. Your name will echo, not because of the things you bought, but because of the lives you touched. Not because of your title, but because of your testimony. People will remember the way you gave, the way you listened, the way you stood tall when others bowed to fear. The blessing on your life is not just material, it's eternal. And don't think the enemy hasn't noticed. The same people who once questioned your value will now watch God multiply your impact. But remember, the blessing isn't revenge, it's redemption. You're not here to prove them wrong, you're here to prove God right. So stay generous, stay surrendered. Let God use you as a fountain in the wilderness, a shelter in the storm. The wisdom you carry, someone's soul depends on it. The joy returning to your spirit. It's meant to awaken others from despair. The financial provision on the way. It's not just for you to live comfortably, it's so you can bless radically. Chapter 7, Richness Forever. This is just the beginning. Let it sink in. This is not temporary. This isn't a moment you'll have to mourn when it passes. This isn't a fleeting high followed by another valley. No, chosen one. What's happening now is not seasonal. It's foundational. This is not a short-lived spark. It's the beginning of a divine flame that will never be extinguished. You're stepping into something eternal, something rooted, something sealed in the spirit and affirmed in heaven. The richness you're stepping into isn't just wealth of the hand, it's wealth of the whole being. Richness of the mind, richness of purpose, richness of peace, richness of identity, richness in how you love, how you live, how you show up in the world. This is richness forever. That doesn't mean you won't still face battles, but now you fight from a place of overflow, not desperation. Now you walk with a knowing that you are backed by heaven itself. You've been through the dry places, the hidden years, the silent prayers, the misunderstood seasons. But God has brought you to a turning point, a shift so profound that nothing will ever be the same again. This isn't just a good season. This is a new dimension of living. You've crossed over. You're not surviving anymore. You're thriving in divine alignment. You're not begging for crumbs. You're seated at the table God prepared just for you. And not only are you eating, you're feeding others too. The people around you are changing. The conversations are deeper. The energy is purer. The doors are opening without you having to knock. The blessings are locating you without you chasing them. That's what happens when heaven moves on your behalf. Your life starts to look like what God promised, not what people predicted. Relationships are being aligned with your future, not your fears. Resources are being assigned to your purpose, not your pain. You're not running anymore. You're rising. You're no longer operating from a survival mindset. You're operating from a divine mandate. This is abundance with purpose, joy with depth, peace with permanence. Miracles are no longer rare. They're normal. You're living in the overflow, not just talking about it. You're not striving for a blessing. You've become one. Your very presence is an atmosphere shifter. Your testimony is no longer about what you've lost, but about what you've learned and gained. And now, what you're walking in. And here's the most humbling part. God is not finished. What you're seeing now is only the beginning. These blessings are not the end of the story. They're the opening lines of a new volume. There's more coming, more impact, more revelation, more restoration, more clarity, more divine connections, more open doors. You haven't peaked. You've just positioned yourself for the true unfolding. So walk boldly. This is your territory now. Speak life, not just over yourself, but over every room you enter. Carry the authority of someone who's been tested and approved. Don't shrink. Don't second-guess it. You've earned this through obedience. You've been prepared through pain. You've been equipped in private, and now God is releasing you in public.